Hello, I'm Dane, and this is Dane Explains. Every 6 months, I've made a habit of releasing compilations of videos of my shorts, for people who prefer to watch longer videos, usually at the beginning of the year and in the middle of the year. So, today, I'm doing a compilation of select religious videos I've done in the second half of 2023. So, without further ado, enjoy the shorts. Jesus often proclaimed that the kingdom of heaven was at hand. Where is it, and why are things still so bad? Jews in Jesus' time were looking for the coming of the Messiah. Since it seems after Jesus' ascension, the kingdom that Jesus proclaimed had not been established, people thought it would be established when he returned. But when Jesus said, "Repent, the kingdom of heaven is at hand," he wasn't referencing his second coming. He was referencing the completion of his earthly mission. You can look it up in Maccabees. When Judas Maccabeus found some of his dead soldiers had charms to the goddess Jamnia, he sent tribute to the temple in reparation for their sin, because he believed in the resurrection. The resurrection that's being spoken of here is the first one, which is the one that occurred when Jesus opened the gates of heaven. That meant even for the youngest people alive at the time, the kingdom of heaven was less than 100 years away. When Jesus died, he opened the gates of heaven for the dead. There was a good reason why he made it seem so urgent, because the kingdom of heaven was at hand for the dead. There's a twist though, because Jesus founded the church, which still exists today, the Catholic Church, and heaven touches the altar during every Catholic Mass. The problem of evil, or the idea that an all-good God wouldn't let bad things happen, seems to be one of atheism's strongest arguments, because the answer is in the Bible. The first thing we need to understand is that evil wouldn't be a problem at all if it weren't for the fall of Adam and Eve. It would be unfair, however, for us if God just instantly damned us all for their choice. Angels and demons have a free will as well, but there are limits to it. Angels can't do bad. They were each given a momentary choice, where they were able to choose to obey God or not. People are allowed to act like angels or demons. No matter what evil does happen, God will draw a greater good out of it. Angels had one choice. Unlike angels, we're allowed to sin and do evil before we make our choice to go to heaven or hell. So the fact that evil does exist enables us to have relationships with God and each other that are on a level than the relationships the angels have with God or other angels. Do you believe in the Big Bang, evolution, that man landed on the moon, or maybe even that the Earth is a sphere? If you answered no to any of these questions, you might be a science denier. What is settled science? There is some science that certainly isn't settled, like what causes gravity, as amazing as that sounds. It would probably be the point where the vast majority of studies that look at that aspect of science agree, and there's only an occasional study that disagrees. I think the science is settled once a large number of us are working with it in our everyday lives, and don't even realize it. Many people reject certain scientific ideas out of hand because they think it contradicts their own interpretation of the Bible. First off, who died and made you the magisterium? Secondly, if you have to reject science that's so settled, God would have to be in on the conspiracy. So he could literally suspend reality for you to make a phone call or just drive to the grocery store. Then maybe it's your interpretation of the Bible that needs to be reassessed, rather than the fundamentals of reality itself. There's one group in the church that's growing, traditionalists. 50 years from now, they may be the only Catholics left. The people I see still attending church today are my parents' age. Occasionally, I'll see young families show up with a bunch of kids. They look traditional, so you would think they would go there every week. So where are they? Not too far is a church run by the Priestly Society of St. Peter, or the FSSP. Their masses are packed every Sunday. Their parishes are growing. Now, I've had discussions with people about this before, and they say that doesn't matter because these parishes are just poaching traditional families from their regular parishes. Most Catholic families have maybe one or two children. When those children grow up, 2/3 of them won't even attend Mass. It's rare for anyone from one of those non-traditional families to want to go into a religious life. Couples of traditional parishes are encouraged to have large families. Children of these families are also much more likely to discern a calling to the priesthood, but I think you can see where this is going. It will eventually get to the point in the near future where they're the only option. There seems to be two camps. One believes that most of the prophecies describes the end. The other that believe almost all the prophecies in the Bible have already come to pass. Before Jesus, the prophecy of the 70 weeks was thought to predict occurrences leading up to the coming of the Messiah. This prince and desolator described in Daniel is believed to be a man named Antiochus Epiphanes. This incident is recorded in the Catholic Bibles as 1 Maccabees. Each character in Daniel's prophecy matches with what happened in 1 Maccabees 1. Then later, Jesus points to the man of perdition referenced in the prophecy of Daniel. He knew the prophecy had already been fulfilled. Each time the prophecy is being mentioned, it's being mentioned because it's about to be fulfilled again. The context that Jesus mentions it in is probably preparing the people in Judea with the imminent Roman persecution and destruction of the temple. Later in Revelation, it's almost certainly a reference to the Roman persecution of the Christians. Each instance of this prophecy's fulfillment are types of its final fulfillment, and the final fulfillment are their archetype. Have you ever been approached by someone that wanted to talk to you about Jesus? There's one thing I can say with near absolute certainty: that person was not a Catholic. Catholics are under the impression that all you have to do is follow your conscience and you'll go to heaven. So what's the point in evangelizing people? The modern perception is that Christianity spread because of greed. This feeling is especially strong in South America, where one priest even bragged he hadn't baptized one single person before he was Pope. Pope Francis, who was also from South America, even scolded a woman for converting 2 people. He said she was proselytizing. The Pope has explained what he means by proselytizing before, which he stated was specifically spreading the prosperity gospel. Regardless, incidents like that one make some Catholics think that they not only have no need to evangelize, but they may be committing the sin of proselytizing if they do evangelize. So, what can be done about this? If you're Catholic, and it's something you feel like you could do, the Church requires each one of us to try and spread the gospel the best we're able. Many people are under the impression that Catholics think indulgences will get the loved ones out of hell, or keep us from going to hell. Is an indulgence a get out of hell free card? Luther got upset with the church because they were selling indulgences. Now someone might conclude that Luther only thought that way because he didn't have the money to buy indulgences himself. But that's not the case. He, along with everyone else, understood that indulgences don't get you out of hell. So from a Catholic perspective, what's the point of an indulgence? Indulgences are applied for those in purgatory. Purgatory is the place where people go to get rid of all the baggage of sin. So if someone goes to hell, they're not going to purgatory. Catholics believe that if you not only try not to sin, but also make up for the sins you've committed, that helps remediate the consequences in purgatory. The church doesn't actually have a teaching on whether time even passes in purgatory. The time attached to the indulgence is an equivalent amount of time spent here on earth doing penance. That's why an indulgence won't do a whit of good for someone in hell, because doing penance for them won't do any good either. People have tried various experiments to measure or detect the human soul. People tried to weigh the soul by putting someone who was about to die on a scale so they could see the weight of the person change when the soul left the person at the moment of death. However, if hidden variable theory is correct, then on some level the soul would be detectable, because everything from the beginning of the universe until now would be able to be predicted. So, it would need to make changes to your mind that would be outside of what was predicted. If, on the other hand, hidden variable theory is wrong, the soul could be changing the likelihood of various actions that are random and using the butterfly effect to change the outcome of the decision making. Either that or change the outcome of many quantum events. Neural pathways in our brains are strengthened the more we use them. That would be why things get easier every time you do them. It's also the reason why sinning a lot effectively kills your soul, because you're letting your physical biology dictate your actions so much that your soul can no longer affect the outcome of any of your decisions. Are there times when you're truly not in control of your actions, like demonic possession? If so, how does a demon actually control you? There are various levels of possession. The lowest level is demonic temptation. That is, a demon tempts you to do something. This leads to what exorcists call obsession. Obsession or oppression can eventually lead to what's called full possession, at which point the demons have full control of you. Basically, you've been tied up in the back seat and they're driving the car.
He said shut your holes!
In my video on the soul, I postulated that the soul can interact with the body by changing the probability of certain quantum events. I think the basic modes of action for demonic possession are the same. If you continue to give in to the desires of the demons, they become in control of your emotions. At this point, the driver's seat in your mind is pretty much vacant, and the demon can get in and take full possession. Once the demons are gone, the pathways in your brain that the demons built will still be strong, leaving you open for another possession. If you like my shorts, I try to release a new one every week, a few days before the long-form video goes up. Usually Sunday nights, with the exception of this week and last week, of course. Making a short compilation of shorts might be a tad challenging. With that being said, thank you for watching, and until next time, have a great week.